17-year-old Samriti lost her mother at a young age, and since then, her father Gautam was her entire world. Samriti's father never let her feel the absence of her mother, but one day came in their lives that changed everything. It was a usual Sunday. Samriti's father was sitting on a chair reading the newspaper, and Samriti was practicing Kathak dance in her room. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Upon opening the door, there stood a lawyer in a suit. He informed them that Gautam's uncle had passed away and had left a mansion to Gautam as an inheritance. Gautam found this very strange because he did not get along with his uncle at all and hadn't met him in about 15 years. But when the lawyer showed all the paperwork, Gautam realized it was all true. Samriti and Gautam still couldn't believe that they were the owners of such a big mansion. Seeing the mansion, Samriti's father understood that they couldn't afford to live in such a big mansion given their financial situation. So he decided to sell it. But there was a different kind of sparkle in Samriti's eyes. She told her father that she always wanted to live in a big house. Seeing Samriti's happiness, Gautam decided to live in the mansion for some time. The mansion was as beautiful inside as it was outside. Samriti's happiness knew no bounds as she roamed around the mansion, exploring all the rooms. Then she reached a room with a closed door. A large lock was on the big door, and something was written in Sanskrit on the lock. As soon as Samriti touched the lock, she felt a strong electric shock. Before she could understand anything, her father called her, and Samriti turned back to go to her father. But as she was walking, she heard a voice in her ears. A woman was calling her, laughing. Samriti suddenly turned around upon hearing the voice, but then the voice stopped. She thought it was her imagination and went to her father. That night, Gautam and Samriti were sleeping in their respective rooms, but then Gautam was awakened by a sound. He heard the sound of anklets from the nearby room. Gautam thought that maybe Samriti was practicing dance in her room, so he closed his eyes again. He tried to sleep by closing his eyes, but the sound of anklets gradually grew louder. It seemed as if someone wearing anklets was approaching Gautam. Before Gautam could understand, the sound of anklet-wearing footsteps started coming from near his bed. Gautam quickly got up and saw that there was no one in the room. Now Gautam started feeling something strange. He got up and went towards Samriti's room. Upon reaching Samriti's room, he saw that she was not there. Now Gautam started getting tense. He began calling out to Samriti. He tried to turn on the lights of the mansion, but none of the switches were working. Gautam picked up a lamp lying outside the room, lit it, and started searching for Samriti in the mansion. While wandering, Gautam again heard the sound of someone walking with anklets. Gautam started following that sound. The closer Gautam got to the sound, the further it seemed to move away from him. But while following that sound, Gautam found himself standing outside a room. The door of that room was open, and in the middle of the room, Gautam saw something that made his soul shiver. Inside the room, a girl wearing a sari and anklets was dancing. Before he could understand anything, Gautam saw the girl's face, and his heart sank. The girl was none other than Samriti, but Samriti did not look normal at all. She had put on a lot of makeup and it was smeared all over her face. Her hair was disheveled and she was singing something in Bengali. Seeing all this, Gautam got very scared and ran towards Samriti. As soon as he placed his hand on Samriti's shoulder, she turned around and screamed loudly, hitting Gautam on the chest. As soon as Samriti's hand touched him, Gautam fell outside the room and the door slammed shut in his face. It was the same room that Samriti had seen locked in the morning. Gautam got up and started banging on the door loudly. He wanted to get Samriddhi out of there at any cost. Gautam started pounding on the door like a madman. Just then, he heard a voice from behind, which made him stop. "Dad, what are you doing?" As soon as Gautam turned around, he saw Samriddhi standing behind him in her night suit. Samriddhi said that she was sleeping in her room and heard the loud banging on the door, which brought her there. She arrived. Gautam still couldn't understand anything. If Samriddhi was in her room, then why didn't he see her? And who was the girl present in that room? These questions were making Gautam's head explode, but he didn't want to scare Samriddhi. So he told her to go back to her room and sleep. Gautam didn't sleep the whole night, and as soon as morning came, he went to a temple near the mansion. Gautam had a lot of faith in God, and he narrated the entire incident that happened to him in front of the idol in the temple. Gautam didn't know that the temple priest was also listening to his words. As Gautam was about to leave the temple, the priest stopped him and asked where he lived. When Gautam told him that he had moved into the nearby mansion just 2 days ago, the priest's face turned pale. He told Gautam to leave that mansion immediately. When Gautam spoke to the priest told him that many years ago, a king lived in that mansion, and a girl named Manjulika used to dance there. She entertained everyone with her singing. But gradually, the king became fond of Manjulika, although Manjulika was deeply in love with a fellow dancer. As soon as the king found out about this, in a fit of jealousy and rage, he killed both Manjulika and her companion. Manjulika died, but her spirit remained in the mansion, and even today, her angry spirit is trapped in one of the rooms of that mansion. Gautam now understood everything. What he saw last night was none other than her. Rather, it was Manjulika. And now, living in that mansion was not without danger for him and Samriddhi. He wanted to leave with Samriddhi at that very moment. But when he returned home, he found Samriddhi sitting in the Manjulika room, wearing the same sari, kech and anklets as last night, looking at the old honor in that room. Gautam asked Samriddhi to leave from there, but Samriddhi insisted on staying. As soon as Gautam scolded Samriddhi, she suddenly overpowered him. She lifted Gautam by his neck. She started muttering something strange in Bengali with anger. Within moments, Gautam's breath seemed to stop. He was writhing in pain. But meanwhile, the priest of that temple ran away with some people, and he immediately poured Ganga water on the prosperity. Through Samriddhi released Gautam, and he fell unconscious to the ground. Gautam and the priest performed a ritual there and locked the room again, and Gautam left the mansion with Samriddhi forever. Gautam dismissed the idea of selling the mansion or even going near it from his mind. Even today, Samriddhi does not know why they left the mansion, and Gautam never tells her the reason for leaving it.